Prologue. The story begins with a sergeant named Kang, who appears to be trapped with a group of his people and a professor. Apparently, they were all set up on this mission and lured into a trap. As they start to contemplate how many of them are alive and what they should do next, a door opens next to them, and one of the men who captured them comes out. The sergeant is surprised and tries to act when, all of a sudden, the man from the door drops dead, revealing a stranger dressed in a manner that conceals his appearance. He tells them to follow him with the prisoner, leaving the sergeant with no choice. While walking through the hallway, both we and the sergeant are shocked to find numerous dead bodies on the floor, all killed by this single stranger whose identity remains unknown. As they run, the sergeant spots two people who also spot them, attempting to kill them without harming his comrades. The unknown stranger swiftly incapacitates both enemies, leaving the sergeant eagerly wanting to know who he is, and what agency he's from. The stranger, whom I'll now refer to as Timothy, asks them to pick up the pace. A few minutes later, they hear multiple gunshots from a distance, prompting the sergeant to decide to help, but he's shocked to see Mr. Timothy rushing towards the danger, and swiftly eliminating 3 enemies. Realizing Mr. Timothy's tactics, the sergeant concludes that he must be a mercenary rather than a soldier, due to his reckless tactics. Upon reaching outside the building, Timothy tells the sergeant to halt, causing the sergeant to be confused, only to turn around and notice his injured comrade struggling to keep up. Scolding himself for not realizing their state earlier, the sergeant further respects Mr. Timothy for his consideration of their condition. The sergeant notices that Mr. Timothy speaks Korean, albeit imperfectly, and asks if he's Korean. Mr. Timothy flinches but doesn't respond, confirming the sergeant's suspicion. After a brief rest, Mr. Timothy escorts the sergeant and his team to the rest of his platoon, who were also saved by him. The sergeant is shocked to find his team still alive and not heavily injured, expressing his gratitude towards Mr. Timothy for saving them. Mr. Timothy responds, stating that there's no need for gratitude as he was simply carrying out his commission. Nonetheless, the sergeant thanks him and offers a handshake. Suddenly, they hear something approaching, prompting Mr. Timothy to yell for cover. After a moment, the sergeant realizes they were fired upon by a mortar while covering his ears. The sergeant attempts to locate his comrades, who were all well and unharmed. He waits until his hearing returns, only to hear loud gunshots nearby. Confused, he turns around to seize Mr. Timothy, who appears to be just a teenage-looking kid, shooting at the enemy. The story then skips ahead 6 months, where Mr. Timothy is introduced as a new student in a class. Some find him handsome, while others see him as a cocky prick. The chapter ends with the revelation of Mr. Timothy's real name, Ijin. This prologue sets up an intriguing storyline of a teenager who has likely experienced the hardships of the battlefield, now having to adjust to a normal student life, leading to potential confrontations with other students. This first chapter serves as an engaging introduction to the captivating plotline of this amazing manhwa. Thank you for watching, and have a great rest of your day. Chapter 1. In this chapter, we see Ijin-Yu's sister, whose name is Daeyeon, giving us a flashback of 6 months ago when Ijin arrived at the airport, where he, for the first time, met his grandfather and his little sister. Apparently, Ijin has been missing for 10 years or, to be upfront, presumed dead after the plane crash with his parents. This reunion was really touching and a bit awkward for Ijin's sister, as this was basically a complete stranger. The flashback is cut short when 2 sons of mother truckers pull up in front of Daeyeon, cussing and demanding that she give her gym shirt during gym as they have forgotten theirs. Daeyeon then gets slapped when she states that she wouldn't have anything to wear for gym, to which the bullies reply with a, "That's your problem, man, oh man." I can't wait until Ijin notices the treatment his sister is receiving, and decides to beat the living dog out of them anyway. Daeyeon further gets disrespected and embarrassed in front of the class. The scene is then cut back to Ijin when he was getting introduced to the class. When he starts going to his assigned seat, a red-haired dude named Ji-hyung, not liking the attention Ijin is getting from the girls, decides to trip him up, only for Ijin to stop the moment Ji-hyung puts out his feet. This embarrasses Ji-hyung, who then notices Ijin glaring back at him. We then get a flashback to Ijin before he got sent to his family, where Major Kang, the sergeant that was saved by him, explains that he should not fight against any school kids, as he might end up demolishing them. Aijin, deciding to hold back, just goes past him, giving the red-haired dude the assumption that Aijin is a little puss. Aijin finally sits down in his seat, where we then get introduced to Yongchun Park, who is by far going to be one of the best characters later on, and you'll know why in the next chapter. This new friend of ours then explains how the red-haired dude named Ji Hyung and the yellow-haired dude, Hyokjin Ju, are one of the few bullies of this class. He then also explains the school system and the classes that they both will have after this interaction. Aijin quietly looks around the classroom and starts to think how peaceful it is, while reminiscing of his tough times when working as a mercenary. The scene shifts to the end of the class period, where we see Aijin waiting for his sister, Daeyeon. They both walk home together, although the air around them is very silent as they barely know each other. Aijin breaks the silence, stating that it must be pretty awkward for Daeyeon, who is flustered and responds that it isn't. Aijin responds back, stating that it's weird for him as well, as he was only 9 when the accident occurred, and Daeyeon was only 7, so they don't have that much of a close relationship. We then notice one of the bullies and their group that was bullying Daeyeon. The piece of trash notices Daeyeon, making fun of her, stating that she didn't know that someone like her could date Daeyeon. Getting worried and trying not to cause any trouble for her brother, tries to mitigate the situation. When Aijin asks if they are her friends, Daeyeon frantically responds that they are, to which the piece of trash responds with an aggressive comment. One of the trash's trash cans is angered by Aijin's stare, and decides to pick a fight with him. Aijin decides not to fight back when the trash can grabs his collar, as he was reminded of Major Kang, who stated that he should try his best not to pick fights, but when his sister bows down to apologize, and he notices her scared face, Aijin flicks the bully's hand off. To which the bully starts complaining like a little bitch. Aijin, being him, goes to his sister to calm her down, and states that she should stay still for 1 minute, covering her face with his jacket. The trash, noticing an opening, tries to land a hit, only to get knocked out with a one backhanded punch from Aijin. The two bullies start sweating bullets, as they know they're about to get that ass whooping. Man, oh man, is this Manhwa the best when it comes to beating up bullies and getting payback. I mean, we didn't even have to wait that long. Anyway, I recommend everyone to go check out the original source material, and read the manhwa from Webtoon to support the author and the artist. Thank you for watching and have a great day. See you guys in the next video. Chapter 2. We start off the chapter with a group of soldiers running laps, presumably for training reasons. These soldiers happen to be under someone named Major Kang, or if we remember from before, it's the sergeant that was saved by Aijin. The major and one of his colleagues talk about how Aijin would fit and act during his first day of school, as he has lived a good portion of his childhood, 10 years, starting from age 9 to 19 in a harsh battlefield. The major trusts Aijin to behave well, as he has trained him in the culture of Korea for the past 6 months before he was sent out to meet his family. The major, with his famous last quotes, no doubt, cuts back to the scene where Aijin backhand punched the trash can from the previous chapter. Lol, this is a pretty funny segment. The other trash can, I'm gonna start calling them trash can 1, 2, and 3. 2 being the dude that just got knocked out. The third trash can, realizing how the second trash can got knocked out in one hit, as his eyes are rolled back, starts to question if what he witnessed is real and begins to panic. Aijin wastes no time and immediately heads towards the third trash can, gut punching him to the point he was off the floor. Now, both trash cans 2 and 3 are knocked cold. The first trash can, the girl, starts to quiver in her timbers and starts sweating as she notices Aijin heading towards her too, but gets stopped when Daeyeon calls out his name in confusion, as she was confused as to what happened, since her face was covered with the jacket from Aijin. Aijin, not wanting his sister to witness the brutality that the first trash can was about to receive, starts heading back towards his sister. While all this is happening, the first trash can looks down and doesn't let out a single squeak from her mouth. My man, Aijin, with his belief in equal rights, was about to give the garbage girl the hands. She's lucky Aijin cares for his sister's innocence. Aijin goes back to his sister and awkwardly tries to change the subject. When leaving, Daeyeon says her goodbyes, as Aijin stares back at the garbage can. During their walk home, Daeyeon is surprised by how well Aijin can fight, and lectures him that staring at people is a sign of disrespect towards them. Aijin states back that he knows that. Daeyeon, confused, asks why he kept staring if he knew. Aijin simply answers that they looked like they were causing Daeyeon trouble. Daeyeon, hearing this, gets emotional, and they head back home quietly. Back at home, Aijin helps his grandpa wash the dishes. We then find out how the grandpa was actually learning some cooking lessons, so he could prepare cultural foods that Aijin might have never tasted. Later, during the night as Aijin is lying down on his bed, he reflects on how his family has treated him so far, questioning the importance of family. Dom Toretto would be proud. As he falls asleep, we get a flashback to when the accident with the plane was about to occur. Right before the plane crashes, Aijin wakes up, panting with nervousness. Getting out of his bed and heading to the kitchen, he notices Daeyeon preparing food while at the same time preparing to go to school. Daeyeon says goodbye as she shuts the door behind her, reminding Aijin to eat up before getting ready for school. The scene cuts back to trash can number 1 with her most beloved friend, whom I'm gonna start calling a dumpster. Recollecting their thoughts on how Daeyeon apparently has a brother. While the dumpster can is thinking about what to do next, trash can number 1 is scared out of her mind, as she gets PTSD flashbacks to when Aijin was about to give her the 1-2-1-2 hands. We then cut back to Daeyeon, who gets smacked from behind by Miss Dumpster Motherfer, who bullies, slanders, and forcibly tells her to follow her, unless she wants to get beaten in front of everybody. The scene then shifts to an alleyway where Daeyeon is knocked around in front of trash bags. Dumpster states that because of how high and mighty Daeyeon acted yesterday by making her brother beat up her friends, her brother is about to get in trouble because of her. Daeyeon, hearing this, shouts asking what she means by that, only to get slapped in the face by Miss Dumpster, who arrogantly states that Daeyeon is acting out of line lately. Daeyeon starts shaking and crying as she realizes that her brother is about to get into a real mess because of her. This causes her to run back to the classroom where her brother is at, to warn him. We are then shifted to a classroom where trash cans number 2 and 3, as well as a few more, including Miss Dumpster's brother, whom I'm gonna start calling Mr. Dumpster, all arrive at the classroom where Aijin is at. Daeyeon is then seen bursting out her brother's name while panting. Aijin, noticing his sister's physical state, is shocked, not paying any attention to what Mr. Dumpster is saying. We then end the chapter with the confrontation of Aijin and Miss Dumpster's brother, as Aijin realizes the treatment that Daeyeon might be receiving at school. Lol, this is basically an all-out brawl between the brothers. But no, in all seriousness, we can expect Aijin to go crazy and start beating the living dog piss out of them in the next chapter. Please go check out the original manhwa on Webtoon as it helps support the creator. Thank you for watching and have a great rest of your day.